Right, so you're welcome, guys. My name is Uncle Bravo, and you're welcome to ISOS Educators. Today, we're going to talk about something very, very interesting because a lot of teachers in Thailand, in China, in Vietnam, and other countries where ESL is ongoing, people have been asking that, normally when you travel to Vietnam or Thailand, the public school system has a time of sometimes 30 minutes for the primary section or 35 and 40 minutes for the secondary section and 45 for the high school section. And so, like usually we say, you need to prepare your lesson in such a way that your lesson will cut across your introduction, your warm up, your lesson, some activities to get the students really into your lesson and understand your lesson. So, if a teacher, as a teacher, if you're not able to get your students to understand your lesson, then you have not achieved your objectives because, teachers, we base on our objectives, and that makes us happy. At the end of the day, if we are able to achieve our objective, that is when the student has really gotten into your lesson and really understand what is going on. Then the teacher has completed his or her duty. Good. So people keep asking me, I've had people from many countries asking me that, okay, so we want you to deal with a situation where the public school system will give you a short time, like 30, 35 or 40, 45 minutes to go through a bunch of, information. That means disseminating a lot of information through your lesson to your students. And so today, this video is going to talk about that. Well, so let's start this way. Whenever you get into the classroom as an ESL teacher from, the public school system, it is the same in the training centers as well. But let's look at the public school today. You have to look at your entry. Like I always say, your entry. How do you enter the class? Or how would you like to enter the class? That is the first thing. Secondly, you also have to look at how you are going to introduce your lesson. And then thirdly, you have to find a suitable warm-up for the class, depending on any level you're going to teach. Kindergarten, primary, secondary, high school, whatever it is, you need to get a suitable warm-up for the class. Great. So in one of my classes recently, I have 40 minutes, for the class. And so because people always ask me, because I tell teachers that you need to teach, find time to get the students into a lot of activities, series of activities, no matter how tedious or how the activity will go, you need to do it. Find a way to get it done. Because one teacher from Azerbaijan asked me that, so teacher, Uncle Bravo, the time for the class is 35 minutes, and I don't know how to implement the activities as you were saying. So I asked him, what do you use your time for? Great. And then he said, well, I get to the class, I do my warm-up, I start my lesson, I play some games, and we are gone. Great. Gaming is always good. I always say that gaming is good, but don't let your students know you for games. If your students know you for games, then you are about failing. Your students should know you and love you because they understand your lesson every time when you teach. And then your student should also know that the teacher is amazing. They shouldn't love you for your game. They should love you for real. Great. And then the next thing is that you have to be, extra careful and extra smart in a way that you would be able to turn your lesson, the whole lesson, into a game. Like, let it seem like a game in the sight of the students. Do you get? How do you do that? That is when you have to implement the Uncle Bravo's 5. I'll talk about that in the next video. Uncle Bravo's 5. What is it actually? So today we're basing on how to get your lesson and then your activities across. Great. Teachers play games like charades, back to the board race, a lot of them. And then when is the kindergarten, the flashcard and the cops and other stuff. Great. Now today, in my class, I taught, like I was saying, I had only 45 minutes and I had to teach a lot of things. And then at the end of the lesson, I wanted to have my students prepare something like, to work together and to create, I mean, a presentation and present the lesson. Have their work presented in front of the whole class. How do I do that within 40 minutes? Great, that is what we're going to talk about. So I went through all my lesson, and even I still had time to review the previous lesson. So that is why I'm saying that the teacher has to be creative enough, the teacher has to be smart enough, the teacher has to be wise enough to be able to put all these things together and not like pressing them into the minds of the student, but making it free and relaxed for each student to understand. Great. So we did everything, and at the end of the lesson, I'm going to show you some pictures. Now, at the end of the lesson, I had them sat in groups. The class, we have about, let me see, six. So 6 times 6, we have about 40 students in the class. So I was able to put them into 8 groups, and then I had each of them discuss the question. Each group discussed the questions, came out with what, they want to say and what they want to plan. And I went through guiding them. Okay, don't write this, write that, write this, write that. And I set time for them. I gave them time. How many minutes do you need to do this? If you don't give them time, then you will not be able to achieve your, objective. So I gave them time, and I told them that, hey guys, you have 5 minutes to do this, and everybody should keep quiet. Just concentrate on the work you are doing. So I went around guiding them. Like I told you, I went round to the first group. I guided them how to write, the tenses to use, correcting the grammar and all sort. And then, one funny thing is that I also wanted each student to speak in the class. I didn't say each group should give me one person to speak for the group. No, all the group members have to come in front over there and to do the presentation, and each student has to speak. Why? Because I don't want to leave any stone unturned. Great. So I went around, guided them, and then when the time was up, I was like, so now the time is up. You have, I'm counting up to 5 and you have to stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And some of them say, teacher. Why? Because they've gained some interest in the work. So some of them say, teacher, 1 minute, teacher, 1 minute. Great. Do you understand? That is why I say your lesson can be interesting without, I'm sorry, but I'm not saying games are not good. Games are really, really, really good. But game is one of the smallest elements under the bigger umbrella activities. Great. So, teacher, 1 minute. I said, okay, you have 1 minute more to go. Let's go faster. And then they finished. So at the end of the day, they finished their presentation. They came in front of the class, and then they spoke to the class what they had. Is that okay? In the activity, they had to tell us where they're going on holiday at the end of the school year, and then what they're going to do there. You get it? So they had all of it planned out. They came out there to speak. So in this video, I'm just trying to tell you that if you have about 30 or 45 minutes, great. So at this point, if you really enjoy my video, please don't hesitate to subscribe, share it to other ESL teachers or other, teachers out there, so that the algorithm can grow, so we can have a lot of people see this video. Thank you so much. So when you have about 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes to teach a class, you have to arrange your timing. You have to know how many minutes you are using for the introduction of the lesson, and then the warm-up. You have to know how many minutes you have to use to do that. And then the review of the previous lesson, if you are like me and you would like to do it, which I do all the time, you need to set times for all that. Maybe 2, 3, 5, something like that. and then you have about 10 to 15 minutes to teach the current lesson, not in a rush, in a way that the students would understand, but you will be on on a great pace to be able to complete what you're teaching. So not to finish where the students don't understand, but to finish with the students' maximum understanding. Great. And after that, you need to have a spare time at the end of the lesson for other activities. So if you're a teacher, so when that Azerbaijan teacher asked me, I told him that if you're able to play games within the 35 minutes, then you should be able to also create the opportunity for the students to have, other activities that are going to help them boost their speaking, listening, writing, and reading. You know, all these together. So you have to allow the student to have the opportunity to express themselves, since they are not natives and they speak other language, which the other language has, a greater impact on the speaking of English. So it affects their pronunciation, their understanding, and many, many things. So you have to give them the opportunity to express themselves and to speak, to talk. So the more they talk, they get used to the lesson. Do you get it? So that is it. So please remember, to be able to do this particular thing, you should be able to, segment your time into chunks. Break your timing down, time that, so that each few minutes could be used to do something else. So you can have, enough time to also have the student do other very, very important activities to help them develop faster and very well. Thank you so much. Watch the pictures, and then know how I divided the class into groups and then how it worked for me. Thank you so much. I sign off.